Hey, Joe. Chris is on the other line, so I'll connect us. But yeah, I just don't, feel comfortable because, like, the things I'm saying are true. I'm not saying that you are directly connected to Epstein, you know. So Chris is on the line now. I just connected all of us.
Okay.
So we can hopefully try to get this rectified because what I'm dealing with is completely unreasonable.
Okay. There was some noise on the line there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm picking up speaker. Hold on. I'm just walking around in Richmond. Sorry about that. Is that any better?
That's better. I can hear you there.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. That's just traffic and whatever in the city. But yep. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's just that, like, the every time I've tried to escape being trafficked, I get caught up under false allegations. And even thinking back to some of the previous ones, there were grounds for dismissal on those charges as well. And I've never fought it like I have recently. And since I have, and since I've spoken out, I've come under attack for the past 4 straight years. And it's got to end.
Okay. And Jesse, I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
I don't know what the solution is. Like, there has to be a solution, and you continue to say you have nothing to do with it, but you are the one who's trafficked me the majority of
No,
this
Jesse,
time.
I have not. Okay.
You have.
Jesse, that is where we're going to seriously disagree.
Well, you have. I mean, you've bought the apartments that I was trafficked out of. You've supported it in every way when I've done nothing but try to escape it.
Jesse, every time, and ever since you left California and went to the consequences or whatever town it was in there, ever since then, Jesse, I have tried to talk you out of going back to
No,
work.
no, you haven't.
Jesse,
No, a massage therapy degree is not a replacement for my education at Catholic University. It's nothing I can, you know, live off of, and especially with two dependents. So that it's unreasonable to say that you've been trying because you haven't. All the money that you've spent on me since then, it's been over $500,000. That was plenty enough to put me into the position that I was found in before I was trafficked by the DC madam. And
Okay.
for you to continue to say that you have nothing to do with it is not true. That's not correct.
Well, then you tell me what you think I have had to do with it.
You've perpetuated it. Instead
Every
of doing
time,
anything to help. It's identical to the situation with the current court case. Instead of doing anything to help in a legitimate way, not just throwing money at it and not enough money at it, but enough to perpetuate the crime against me, you've done the same with the trafficking. You've only perpetuated, you've only supported any means to that end.
no,
Yes,
Jesse,
such
I
as,
disagree.
well,
Jesse,
such as when I needed an attorney to save Aisha from my aunt, putting her into the facilities that she did, where they tried to turn her into a boy, where they tried to cut off her breast and start her on hormone therapy, and all of those things that they did to her. And you told me you couldn't afford an attorney, which has been proven to be untrue. You seem to be able to get a hold of any amount of money that you need to, that's going to manage and keep me under your control, or direct my actions in a certain way. But you, instead of affording me an attorney to save my child, you afforded me plastic surgery. That's identical to what's happened with this case and this DUI. You could have made phone calls that would have been free to you to document that these people were informed by somebody other than just me and Chris that these charges do not look legitimate. There is the head concussion raises doubt. The traumatic brain injury is how the CDC classifies it, and that raises doubt as to whether or not the field sobriety test was legitimate or valid in any way. And then in addition to that, they've committed all kinds of malfeasance, and you have been unreachable to even discuss these topics for well over 3 weeks when I've been trying to get in touch with you about the issues. And I have not forced the attorney's hand to commit malpractice against me, but they have done that. And they've done it in an identical fashion. Both attorneys that you had hired, both completely left me out of the trial and out of hearings, lied to me about them even occurring, represented me when they didn't have a legal right to represent me and to speak on my behalf, but they did anyway in both cases.
Jesse, can I actually respond to that for a moment?
Well, that's just some of the issues that we're dealing with. And the real issue isn't so much all of these little details about what's happened in the past. It's about how to fix this going forward, because I want out of the entire situation. I've been telling you this for years. I prefer not to have contact with you. I prefer not to be under your control. You continue to claim that I'm not, but it isn't true.
Jesse, I did not hire either one of the attorneys.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
I don't have any money of my own. You did hire them.
Jesse, that part is correct. I gave you money to hire them, but I did not talk to them. I did not pick them. I did not tell them what to do. I didn't even know who they were until after the fact. The first
I'm not saying that you
never mentioned their name.
I'm not saying that you guided their conduct.
Okay, so what are you saying?
That
you're saying I hired them, but
you did.
Would you rather I had not?
No, Joe, I would not rather that. What I would rather is that this entire situation with me being trafficked is rectified, that I have a way out. I've been asking for this from you, and I've been willing to compromise, not speaking out any further in regard to you, in regard to President Joe Biden, in regard to Jeffrey Epstein, and how they're all connected to the DC Madam, and how you're connected to the DC Madam through me. That's the only reason I have any contact with you at all.
And by the time you disconnected, by the time I met you...
No, it cannot keep being excused and everybody pushing the responsibility onto somebody else. You have been the one who has been in direct contact with me, who has trafficked me, who has purchased the apartments that I was trafficked out of knowingly, knowing that that's what the apartment was for. In agreement, you rented these apartments for me. I'm not saying you put them in your name.
Jesse, please tell me
you financed them.
You sound like, well, I'm trying to understand what you mean by them. Plural, multiple. I don't know what you're talking about.
The multiple apartments that you purchased me. The one in Portland, Oregon, the one in Alexandria, Virginia. I can go back and think about what other times you've purchased apartments. But these are details. I don't think they're as pertinent as finding a way to go forward where this can entirely be resolved and I can be left alone in peace, to live my life without being under the control of entities who claim no responsibility.
And one thing I would say is, one of the basic things why I'm even talking about this is because in both of those DUI cases, any DUI lawyer worth their salt would have walked out of there with no convictions on both cases because they had no proof in either case. So again, with this one, it's much bigger. It's much more of a slam dunk because of the obvious traumatic brain injury and the fact that she is showing zero signs of alcohol intoxication and every single textbook sign of what they're being trained for, TBI. So what I'm saying is, basically, this doesn't really have anything to do except for getting an adequate lawyer to agree to present evidence and to say, like, hey, this has got to stop. This false charge, this false arrest, it has to be remedied. And then other things, I mean, there might be evidence for the other things that Jessica is discussing that are, I don't know, on Twitter. So that's what what I would say, like, is a first good step is to say enough with this travesty of justice from these backbench yokels in Talbot County, Maryland, that think that they can just push paper and make false arrests in front of everybody with nobody saying or doing anything about it, including every lawyer involved.
Right.
So if they all think that malfeasance is okay, but you know what? If another malfeasance committing lawyer got a hold of that, he knew he could get a lot of money and get those charges just thrown out immediately. So that's the issue.
Yeah, and
because the issue is getting the attorneys to agree to just present the evidence, because that's the only thing. Because if that were the problem and they let Jessica present the evidence, that wouldn't be an issue. She's not allowed to, and nor am I, nor is anybody else who's not a bar association member. So when they get hired and they do nothing and waste the money that is being paid for Jessica's attorney fees, that's very convenient for a miscarriage of justice and false arrests that have been verified.
Okay, I hear everything you're saying. Okay, I'm not.
So what I'm saying is, lawyers. Yeah, lawyers. You know that this is not a problem. This is not a problem. Mm-hmm. Back before I became targeted by you treasonous waste of oxygen, I would be able to do something like this and call any number of lawyers that I knew to say, hey, look, this crazy stuff is going on. You might want to stop this. Oh, I can make some money off of this. Yeah, that's their job, and you have been paying. So again, why are you not worried about these folks, being carrying out malpractice with the money that you're saying you're struggling so hard to get?
Right, and another thing about me wanting to be let free. If this case wasn't an issue, I would have the ability to move on in my life alone without any financial aid.
Again, yeah, somebody rips me off like that. I don't have that kind of money to let people rip me off like that and just let it go. Just saying like, oh yeah, here, this is for you to defend this person in a court. Oh, you missed all the evidence? You covered it all up? Oh, and you still took your money? And then you did a bunch of other crooked things? No, I don't let people do that kind of thing to me. I'm sure you know that's true, Joe. I don't forget persons. But again, what about that? What about that? No. There's no both of me have been saying anything.
Yes,
I stand on my own.
And you've been talking.
Right, yes? Right.
Now it is my turn to say a few things in response to what the two of you.
I asked you a question.
Which one? You went on for
question about why you have such lack concern. What happens to your money when you see it's an obvious miscarriage of justice? Why just like, it's your fault. You had a traumatic brain injury. You shouldn't have said some stupid things to the cops when you had a traumatic brain injury.
You have stated your question. If you actually think it's a question and not a speech, that means I get a chance to respond to your question.
You don't explain anything to me. Go ahead. You don't explain anything to me. You don't have standing. You do not control conversations with me.
Then why are you asking me a question?
So go ahead.
You don't really want me to answer.
Because this is your stall tactic. You can go ahead and answer.
Chris, that doesn't even make any sense.
Well, then just fucking answer, dude.
Okay, I will.
I'm waiting.
Shut up! Or quit asking questions.
Funny. Go ahead, then.
If you want to ask a question but don't want an answer, quit wasting my time. Okay? Let me answer, or I will hang up, and I'm done with the phone call. We're talking multiple lawyers.
Yep, same issue with all the lawyers.
Well, making broad statements about all the lawyers is not all that useful.
Well, they've done identical things.
I want to go through the lawyers that I am aware of and can remember. The first lawyer in Virginia, I did not know him. Jesse, you told me that the bail bondsman you had dealt with recommended a lawyer, and you asked me to contact the bail bondsman for the name of that lawyer. That's what I did. That was the first lawyer. Was that Miller or was Miller the second? I don't remember. I think Miller was the first one. Okay? Once I gave him the money, he made it very clear, actually before I gave him the money, he made it very clear that once the money was transferred, it was as if you, Jesse, paid him directly. That I was not the client. He would not address most of that stuff with me. Okay? That's the way lawyers work. Before I gave him the money, I confirmed with the one lawyer I have dealt with in the past, not on this issue, but totally different issues. Okay? And I asked, is that normal? He said, yes, that is the way it works. It doesn't matter who actually provided the money. It is treated as if it is the client who paid the money. Okay? So the second lawyer down there, I don't remember his name at all. I didn't find him. Renee found him. Renee talked to him.
It wasn't Renee.
I thought it was Renee.
No, it wasn't. It was somebody else.
Okay, but it was not me.
Right,
Okay,
but it's not an issue about who hired the lawyer or who found the attorney. It's the fact that they keep committing serious malpractice against me and getting away with it.
But the point is, to use your word, Chris, what standing do I have? None.
You have more standing than I have because you paid them and they talk to me. Yes, they do.
I'm not saying they don't talk to you. What I'm saying is, I assume, because I've asked this of the lawyer in New Mexico.
Right.
Okay? I asked the lawyer, hey, because especially with the second one in Virginia, I was not at all happy with that. And I asked him.
But you never did anything about it.
Let's cut through the chase here. So the attorney that you're talking to is saying, hey, it's totally cool if you pay for an attorney and have them.
Hold up. What attorney
crash
am
a
I
case
talking to?
And then not say anything to them about it?
He's talking about the one that you keep going for advice on how to handle the situation with me.
Which one?
Right.
Basically, what he told me is, you have no recourse once you pay them. Jesse could go after it because as far as the law is concerned, I didn't really pay him.
I'm with you. But again,
but Chris didn't pay them, and he's talked to them about the issues.
Right, that's my point. Like, if you're going to let somebody,
but you've
that's
never.
What I'm saying. Hey, the thing is, that's answering the question, Joe. Yeah, the question was, you think you just want to just flush the stuff down the toilet and say like, hey, I'm not even going to confront these guys for tanking the case that I pay them for?
Right. And just like with the property that you bought me, you're like, well, you can't afford to defend your property and to keep them from stealing it from you. It's the same thing like with the attorneys. You're like, well, you can't afford to.
So questions before we.
It's not really
I'm just saying it's the same.
Because mine's already been answered. My point is.
It hasn't been.
Yeah, it has. Because
you made some statements that are not true and would not let me correct them.
What statements weren't true?
How did you contact these attorneys and show your displeasure with their lack of proper action on these cases?
Okay, now be quiet. You've asked the question 4 times. Asking again.
And you've answered it 0 times. This is an interrogation, boy. You don't raise your voice at me.
If you keep asking stupid questions and wasting my time, I sure will.
It's not a stupid question.
Again,
because you've asked it 4 times and won't let me answer.
You haven't answered. You have plenty of opportunity.
It's a simple yes or no question.
No, it's not a yes no question.
Yes, it is.
If you want to
contact them.
You want a simple yes no. Sure. No, excuse me. How do you answer? Quote. How did you contact them with a yes or a no?
It's fairly simple. Like, did you contact them to let you know of their displeasure?
Yes, I did.
Where's the evidence?
You want to know how I contacted them? I will tell you how I contacted them.
I wish to know what the evidence of that is, not how you did it. Where's the evidence of that?
Actually, If I could go back as far as I needed to in my phone, I could show you the number of
Good. Then there would be the evidence. And when I see that, then I'll believe it's true.
No. Well, to be quite honest, Chris, I don't care if you believe it.
But, that's fine.
What you want to believe. And
right, I don't believe things without evidence, right?
You are interjecting and not letting me answer the question. You're going on to a different question. Let me answer the question.
I'm not going on to any question, because you also said I asked the same question 4 times, so how can I go on to another question if I'm asking the same question over and over again? How is that possible?
You ask other questions in between. Chris,
which are what?
The phone. Where's the evidence? That's not the
Where's
same
the
question
evidence?
as what did you do? Okay?
What did you do? Yeah.
So shut your mouth and I'll answer that. And then you can answer the next question.
You would never, ever dream of speaking to me like that if we were face to face.
I sure would.
And I'm telling you, you don't have the standing by blood or deed to speak to me, you waste of oxygen, treasonous piece of crap. I know what you're up to. Answer the question.
On this phone call. Okay? I would speak to you.
I was asked to.
I'm not
That's
somebody
why.
who thinks differently on the phone or in person. I would speak to you exactly the same way.
It would be very stupid to do that. Let me just tell you that then.
If you say so.
Hey, y'all need to be. We're gonna. Yeah.
I will go back.
We're gonna start rounding y'all up.
Yeah.
I will go back to answering your question.
Treason is what you do, and that's all you do. You shifty motherfucker.
Look up the definition and no, nothing I have done fits the definition of treason.
Oh, yes, it does.
Yes, trafficking women and children.
Treason.
Yes.
Do you know anything about the common law of England and the standing? You don't have any standing under that common law. You're not even American under that common law.
Go ahead and say whatever you want. The world will not be
the truth. I know about standing and common law, and it comes from blood, envy, and you got neither. You got treason. 9/11 treason, Iraq war treason, torture treason, and then this operation, you got continuity of government and your sex trafficking treason too. Right.
Yeah.
So you can't even answer the question. Send the evidence that you contacted these lawyers.
None of us.
Send the evidence.
Why should I?
None of us.
Because you said you have the evidence.
So?
Why shouldn't you? You should only if you're not covering things up. So if you think you shouldn't, that's because you were thinking you should cover things up. So yeah, if you're not trying to cover things up, don't send it. We'll just know you're lying anyways, like everything you do. Everything you say is proven to be false. So what? What's up? Are you going to get an attorney that is going to present evidence to Jessica? Is that it? That's basically. And are you going to continue the pattern that you have, the precedent that you have set, and you think that you can walk away from this scot-free? Come on. Are you going to, as a lawyer, are you going to get upset about your friend getting railroaded? Or are you going to get upset at somebody calling you out for what you do for a living?
Yeah.
What? I don't even know where you're going with this, Chris. It makes no sense.
Well, it makes perfect sense, and I think you're a liar.
You asked... What statement did I just say that you think I'm lying about?
Okay, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No,
I think that's a tactic. Yeah, I do. Are you going to get a lawyer that is going to present the evidence of a traumatic brain injury and put an end to this, what you call, baseless charges? Are you going to do that?
I will give you...
You're going to do that, yes or no?
It depends. Okay?
It depends. Okay. Well... I asked you a direct yes or no, Jess. I got nothing else to say to this guy. I got to go. But again, that's it.
Chris,
it depends. Listen, you got something to say? I'll stay on the phone with you, boy.
Yeah, I really prefer if you don't, because I'm sick and tired of being trafficked by this guy, and this has been going on for 20 years. Even though he denies it, he absolutely had a hand in all of it, and more so lately.
You're a Mossad agent, Joe. I know that's why you're little tag in with Epstein and your activities. Yeah, I know about all this stuff, man. I know about your 9/11 treason. I know all about it. What do you think? Do you know Lieutenant Colonel Robert Bowman?
The name's not familiar to me. No.
The name's not familiar to you?
No.
The godfather of the Star Wars program. You don't know about that guy?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. I don't believe that. And if you don't, that's pretty piss poor.
Why?
Anyway, Anyway,
Why do you think I should know that? Do you know how many people are in the military over the years? And you think I'm supposed to know all of them?
U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Robert Bowman, creator of the Strategic Defense Initiative.
Okay, I take your word for it.
Anyway, well, you don't take my word for it. But I'll tell you, when he said, listen, well, you better, because you know, when he contacted me and said, hey, Chris, you're the only one that can start the militia. I was like, I didn't have any idea. I didn't never even owned a gun before that. But that's about the blood. So he knew about all y'all's 9/11 treason, and he outed it. He was the first person to out it. You know that was a Mossad job, and that USAF was in on it, and CIA was in on it, right? Correct? In on it, directed it.
Chris.
It was a directed attack. You know that, true?
No, I doubt that.
No, you think that what? Like some guys in cave in Hamburg, Germany, freaking, outsmarted the $1 trillion in IC industry and hit them with a freaking drones?
Oh, now you want to talk about something I do know about, but you don't really want to talk about it. You want to make your conclusion with no evidence.
What you're talking about? I know that y'all did this. I know that the intelligence community carried out every aspect of 9/11, wired those buildings with explosives, controlled demolition, and no plane hit the Pentagon. And it was the military. And this was planned with a project for New American Century years before. And it was planned as soon as they built those towers.
Then you should probably go and put all this evidence you have together and go do something about it.
Right, it's exactly the advice.
No, I've already done all that.
It's exactly the advice. Yeah, it's the advice that you give me about being able to get any remedy for me being sex trafficked by you and by your associates. Right. And you're like, put your evidence.
We know we committed these crimes.
Put your evidence together.
What remedy you can get.
Yeah, and I'm sick and tired of it.
Every step of the way.
I'm sick and tired of it, and you just keep denying it the way you deny everything else and tell us, give us your evidence when you know that you guys have the evidence.
I've already got all the evidence.
Well, everybody knows it all.
Special agents in charge of the FBI.
Everybody knows all this, and they're just dancing around like, you can't catch me.
Everybody knows it. Yeah, they're guilty of treason. Yeah, I get harassment calls from the FBI. I turn it around quick on them. I'm like, yeah, treason. Yeah, I know what the punishment for treason is.
Well, regardless, of everybody
shit.
else's freedom being taken away, mine's being taken away at a
right, and Joe is directly
rapid pace.
And he
exactly.
will not even say that he will give money to an attorney, but he won't make sure that they present the obvious evidence. He won't even agree to that. So where we got? Why don't you think about that, Joe? And then I don't know. Jessica can close it out if you wish, but. I mean, what else is there to say? We got all that.
You have... Okay, Chris, I'll put it very simply. There's hardly anything you said.
I don't give a fuck what your opinion is, man. I'm putting straight up questions to you, and you are fucking avoiding them. So I don't give a fuck what you think you hear any other time when I'm putting anything to you. I'm interrogating you.
No, you're not. You're going on a rant. Interrogating means that you allow the person to answer the question, which I've tried.
Right, and you are refusing to do. Right,
no, that's not true. So let's try this again simply.
We are not going to try anything, man. I'm in charge. You don't fucking decide anything.
Oh, and who put you in charge?
God.
Oh. God likes you better than he likes me? I doubt that.
Definitely.
No, I'm not saying God likes you better than me. I have higher standing under God's law than you do. Based on blood and deed. Well, you deaf? I've been telling you this the whole time. Sub Dio ego imperare solus.
Chris, what's your definition of blood?
Blood. DNA.
Oh, so your DNA is better than my DNA, is what you're saying.
As far as ruling... As far as divine right rule, it is the most perfect blood, and yours is imperfect. Yes. Okay, so that is exactly what I'm saying. You don't question me. I wrote a whole book about it, man. You fucking do your own research, okay?
No, you're making a statement.
Do your ancestors come from England? Where do your ancestors come from?
Oh, so English DNA is better than any other DNA?
As far as divine right to rule,
No,
yes,
it's not.
it is.
Based on what?
It's based on the founding of this country, based on the Bible, based on the lost tribes of
Israel.
Israel.
Didn't even know there was in England, so quit that BS.
That's not true. The Bible's name, the Bible names England. Where do you think that the freaking Roman Empire got their freaking tin from?
What does that have to do with the Bible?
It's in the Bible. England's in the Bible. England's in the Bible. The Roman Empire got their tin and copper from England. They were well aware of England during biblical times.
When was there in England? The Bible did not mention England.
Is there?
Listen, are you going to parse words? Like, I know more than you about this. If you want to say it doesn't matter if I know less than you. By blood and deed, you're a backbenching backbiter who's duplicitous and double-crossing. And you know what? You can't answer simple questions, even though you think you're super smart. Okay?
Let's try one.
Listen, again, you cannot answer me. Like, I've asked you all the questions. You say, hey, I'll waste more money and I won't ask any questions of these lawyers. And even though is putting Jessica. Yeah, you did say that.
That's not what I said.
Well, you said you may or may not do that. You said you may or may not do that. Right.
No,
that's exactly
may or
what you
may
said.
not. The "it depends" was in reference to.
I don't give a fuck how you parse words, man. I'm done with you.
Parse words?
Listen.
So you can't tell the difference between past tense
and your scholars. I can tell all the differences, man. I got other things to do, dude. You know that.
So do I.
So fucking do the right thing and quit being a fucking criminal.
I don't even know what. I don't even know what
Turn yourself in.
The right thing is. To whom?
What did I tell you the right thing? Get a fucking lawyer that's going to present the evidence in this case. That's it. That's all. That's the only thing I've been saying to you since the fucking moment I met you. And the only reason I'm saying anything else is because you're so fucking shifty and fucking tricky.
I don't know.
Fuck you, dude.
I don't know lawyers to hire.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Find them. Find them.
Why?
You're a liar and find them.
The last several.
And do it. I don't want to hear a fucking backstory like everything else you got to say.
I don't want to hear anything.
I don't want to hear bullshit. I don't want to hear your bullshit.
Why are you wasting your time?
I'm being very precise. I don't need a fucking backstory. I need, you know how to do this shit and get it fucking done.
You are not being precise. You are not being accurate.
I'm being as precise as I have to be. You know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I put it right to you. Hey, Jess, I'm gonna end this conversation unless you want to stay on the phone.
Well, thanks for the non-help
in
trying to resolve this.
We could have gotten somewhere if Chris didn't wind up throwing a whole bunch of shit.
You get on the phone and you handle that without me, okay? And Jessica, I'll call you back in 15 minutes.
Yes, Jesse?
Joe, I am, sick and tired of dealing with this. I'm tired.
Of course you are.
I'm tired of you lying about what's happened. I'm tired about you lying about your involvement. You're the only one that I have contact with in this world now. I don't mean in this world in general. I mean in this trafficking world. I don't want any part of it, and you're not letting me go. And it's been this way for many years now. All I want is to be let free. I'll make my own way. But these charges, they have come in between me being able to do that. And I would have done it prior to this, but the property issues with the property that you bought me, that that where I'm being abused, like these attorneys are abusing me, like the police, it's always been the same things. In me being trafficked, it's the same issues. Property being used against me, and attorneys and false charges being used against me. These are all the ways that I've been trafficked, and you've been alongside just allowing it to go on. And all that Chris is saying is that he knows and I know this, and you deny it, but it's not true, that you can accomplish what needs to be done. And you keep saying that you can't, but you can.
Jesse,
You can't be as incompetent as you pretend to be, Joe.
it's not a matter
No.
of incompetence.
Well, no, it is, because you keep pretending that that's the issue, that you just have lack of concern, you're not competent enough, you don't know how to achieve goals, you can't be successful at anything you do. But that's only when it comes to me and me being able to escape being trafficked. And in addition to that, you've set me up, and you've also reneged on your promises of any which way you could have helped that would not have cost any money, just to show that these things are being documented. It's not just Chris Dorsey saying that this is true, but that you also agreed with him, and that you were going to make phone calls that you didn't make, and you have been unavailable to speak. And this has only been in the more recent past, since I spoke out, that you have changed your behavior. And you keep alleging that I have, but it's not me. I've stayed steady. I've stayed constant. I've attempted to get back into school this entire time. I've attempted to create stability. It's what has gone on around me that has prevented that. And you have aided in those things. You haven't helped to alleviate any of the abuse. You've only aided it and perpetuated it. Like with the property, you've said, I can't afford to save my own property. I can't afford to have a stable place to live because other people want to steal my property from me. That was your answer to me about getting an attorney to fight for my property rights, for my stable home where I was writing a book, where I returned to school, where everything was fine until false charges were brought against me again. But while I was working, there were plenty of times where charges have been brought against me and immediately dismissed.
Okay, I'm not aware of those things.
Apparently not. I don't know if you are or not. I don't know if I've ever mentioned them to you, or
I don't think you have.
Well, regardless, that's the case.
I believe you, Jesse.
I've had charges of a similar nature or similar type of charges, and they were dismissed with no problem. Very little money involved, just dismissed. And that began when I was first being trafficked in 2002.
Jesse, I'm not saying it didn't happen. If you say it happened,
okay, but that's
I'm saying I didn't know that.
It's not the point. The point is that that's the facts. Those are the facts. That the attorneys have been used against me. I've been trafficked to many attorneys. Attorneys are used against me as part of this trafficking network. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes and how communication occurs, but it is what's happening. I know that for a fact because I have witnessed all of this for 20 years of my life now. And it isn't impossible for you to achieve the goals that you wish to achieve when you wish to achieve them, because I've watched you do that as well. You can successfully do whatever you wish to do, and when you don't, you don't. It doesn't happen. Well, I've not witnessed that. I've witnessed when you want something to happen, such as the plastic surgery, and I know there's other instances as well. It happens without any qualms. There is no issue. There's no hindrance. It happens in a very succinct manner. It just goes from one thing to another, and it's done. There's no problems in between.
Jesse, can we? You brought that one up several times today.
Because I have been devastated by the fact that you wouldn't afford an attorney. And it's obvious now with the money that you've given me that you could have afforded an attorney to save Aisha from my aunt. But you didn't. And you instead chose to pay for plastic surgery. And it's not just that. I mean, that's just one instance that has to do with money. And this other one does too. But the fact that Aisha had overdosed, and I got off the plane, rerouted my flight back to Oregon, told you that I needed $1,300 for my money's expenses for that month, and you refused to give it to me. I didn't ask you, but you knew for certain why I called you, and you told me to go ahead and go to DC and make the money through trafficking myself, and that Aisha, there was nothing I could do for her back in Oregon, and you knew that's wrong. And those are the sort of things that you've done to me all along, and you know it. The ways that you've manipulated me and controlled me. You denied me $1,300 so that I could go back to be with my daughter when you knew I had every intent of that happening and was calling you for support, to support me in that. But that was prior to me realizing how absolutely involved in trafficking me you are, and that is why I call you my handler, because you have done nothing to help me in my life. You pretend that massage therapy certificate is anything different than being trafficked, and it's not. It's a cover for being trafficked. That's why most of Epstein's victims are massage therapists. So don't pretend that that's any kind of replacement for my Catholic university education that I was working on when you guys first brought me into all this crap that I never have wished to be a part of. I've only remained a good, honest, and innocent person through all of this, and I've never harmed anybody else. All I've asked is for you to do what's right, and you continue to refuse to do that, and you continue to lie, and you continue to manipulate, and you continue to attempt to control me. Through all the various arms of the agencies that you use, like the attorneys, the, prosecutors, all of it. I'm not saying that you're directly contacting them. That's not how it works. All I'm asking for is these charges can very easily be dismissed by an attorney whose agenda is to have them dismissed. The evidence is all there to have them dismissed. And even further for lawsuits. But I'm in a position where you people who are in a different position take advantage of people like me and use and abuse us until we're dead. I want out. That's all I've been telling you for over 4 years now. I want out. I've been willing to compromise in every way, everything, and not in every way, but I mean in the things that are important to me, which is the truth to be known. And that's all I've asked for. All that Chris thinks the solution is, and he is right about this, is these charges being dismissed. This being declared a mistrial or whatever other type of, wording they would use to have it dismissed in a legal sense. But it is plausible and it is more than substantiated already.
Jesse, okay, I'm going to say a couple things and I'm going to ask a couple things. And if you do not believe what I'm saying, then I'm not sure where we go.
Well, if you're going to lie, of course I'm not going to believe you, because I know the lies that you tell. You say you haven't trafficked me, and you have. You say you haven't manipulated me, and you have. You say you haven't abused me, and you have. You say you have nothing to do with this, and you do. I know those are lies. So just don't lie to me, and we won't have a problem in speaking honestly about things.
Okay.
If you can't be honest, then don't bring it up. Don't have any.
Not know any attorneys in Maryland. I don't.
It doesn't make a difference whether you know any or not. It's them agreeing to present the evidence.
Jesse, here's the point. They would be representing you, not me.
That doesn't matter. And
No,
it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Anybody can call on anybody's behalf, give them the information about the case, and get a reasonable idea about whether this attorney, or get an agreement from that attorney if they would be willing to defend this or file these motions.
Jesse,
that's not difficult.
But that's not the entire piece of it. Okay? It's not.
What is the issue? That you don't know any attorneys in Maryland? That doesn't make a difference.
Let me.
You're acting like you're incompetent, but that's somehow justified, but you're not incompetent. It's a lie.
Let me finish what I was saying. You asked a question, what difference does that make?
What difference does it make that you don't know any attorneys in Maryland?
Because the fact that I don't know any in Maryland means I would be picking up the phone and cold calling them, not have any idea.
Well, why don't you call up your attorney that you use to cover up your crimes with? The one that you
I
get
have
it.
not used an attorney to cover up any crimes.
Yes.
Jesse, go back and read what I
You're
have written.
you're the one
to
who
you.
says you're constantly getting advice from this attorney
Jesse,
about the lawsuit I was
me
bringing against
answer.
you, about the lawsuit I was bringing against you.
No.
Yes.
Jesse,
You said that
Jesse.
whether or not I was correct or not, it would cost both of us in court, and
Jesse?
neither of us would win.
Jesse, let me answer your question. Quit doing the same thing Chris does. You asked me a
You're
question.
the one who's
let
the
me
problem.
answer it.
No, because you don't answer the question. You could give simple answers, but you don't. You have to go off on tangents and try and manipulate things.
Answer to the question you just asked. The only time I hired that attorney was when Terry was trying to blackmail.
You have told
No,
me
Jesse.
that you have gotten advice from him recently about the
Jesse.
lawsuit that I was bringing against you when I sent you the letter of intent.
Answer.
No, you're not answering. You're not answering truthfully. Then why did you tell me that you have gotten advice from that attorney multiple times?
Because talking to somebody for general advice.
Yeah, when you pay, you have to pay for it.
Hiring them.
So you're saying he just gives you free consultations and legal advice for free?
Yes.
You told me you pay for it. You told me that you pay him for his legal consultations.
I paid him for the legal consultation back with Terry.
You've told me that you've paid for him recently in the legal advice that you've been getting about the lawsuit that I brought against you and about being a witness in this case. You didn't mention paying him that time, but about the lawsuit you did. I have a very accurate historical memory according to one of these evaluators.
Jesse, we have talked because over the years we became somewhat friends. Okay? And yes, I will occasionally call him and get some top level, not the level of advice as if there was going to be an actual court case or whatever. So yes, I have talked to him with general advice. I did call him.
It doesn't, see, this is the point. It doesn't matter. What matters is not whatever lies you feel like telling, which I can't verify. No, what matters is the issue that I'm talking about. I am sick and fucking tired of being trafficked and manipulated and controlled by you and other government agents. I'm over it. You guys have committed so much fucking crime against me, you should be hung. Chris isn't incorrect about that. If the truth was known about what you have done, you would be hung. It's not a joke. What me and my daughter have been put through is worse than you will admit to, because you are guilty. I want out. I just want to be left alone. Stop manipulating the conversation to do with everything else that doesn't matter.
You keep
how you hired who, what you're able to do. Stop lying. You're not incompetent. If you're the one who's been put in charge of waging war 50 years out, you're not incompetent. You can figure out how to have an attorney dismiss charges that are very easily dismissed. But that's not on your agenda. Your agenda is to abuse me and to violate my rights using the color of law.
Too many times I paid for an attorney and then you...
No, it has nothing to do with what I did. The attorneys themselves are as treasonous as you are. So don't pretend like I've done anything wrong or that you haven't done anything right, because you haven't. You haven't called them. You haven't held them accountable to anything that they've done wrong. So don't say too many times you did anything. You didn't do anything to help the situation, but throw money at it when you know those attorneys are going to turn on me and use me like you do. They're no different than you. No, they rape, traffic victims just like you do. They are covering their ass just like you.
I did call both the attorneys in Virginia afterwards. I did express my extreme displeasure with it. I asked for an itemized accounting of the money. Okay. The first guy, Miller, gave me one. I don't know if
it doesn't matter. See, what I'm talking about is the shit that you're talking about does not matter at all. It has nothing. No, it has nothing to do with getting these charges dismissed.
It has to.
No, it doesn't have to do with that. It doesn't have to do with that. It doesn't have to do with that. Okay, the thing is, you could not ever. Nobody ever will reasonably believe that you could have given me $500,000, which you did, and that I'm still in this position where I'm being controlled, trafficked, living in a trailer park when I came from Catholic University.
What do you want me to do at this point?
Stop pretending to be incompetent and find an attorney to get the charges dismissed.
I don't know any attorneys, and I am not
I'm going to add Chris on the call so you can explain to him how, because you just get over on me all the time. That's what you love, is to have a woman isolated, alone, so that you can abuse her, without somebody standing up to you. I've got Joe on the phone.
Hello?
Yeah, I've got Joe and Chris. I've got you. I apologize
for getting off the phone.
No, listen, don't worry about it. Yeah, I know you've got more important things to do, but this is what's important to me. So I have reconnected. Okay, well, I've reconnected the call. I have you, Joe, on the phone, and you, Chris, on the phone. So Joe is again saying that he's trying to bring up all the past, which doesn't even matter. I'm trying to get him to agree to hire an attorney. He says he's
right.
He doesn't say he's too incompetent. He denies that that's the reason he can't find an attorney, but he's refusing to do anything about getting these charges dismissed.
I mean, to me, I just don't understand why you wouldn't do everything that you could do. Because, again, the things that I did and that you did in contacting the court, they're not illegal. Actually, they're the duty of anyone when they see a wrongdoing to report it. So just kind of half-heartedly reporting it and not saying hey, we need to get a lawyer to present this evidence when you know that that's the only thing holding it up. That is the issue and the problem. Because if I could do that, but I don't have $500,000 ever in my life, much less to give to another person. So, I can't do that. I can't, even because that's what they wish for, is the money. They're not working for anything else other than the money. And certainly it's worth a try to see if they'll present this obvious evidence. It's pretty much a slam dunk in the I guess for anyone, even you couldn't refute the evidence, Joe. So I would say that's step one, and anything else is whatever there's been a precedent for over the whatever years for whatever reason. It seems strange to me, but that's really the only things I'm here for, is to facilitate like that, because Jessica says that she doesn't like to be on the phone with you by herself because she feels like you always try to get over on her. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm on the phone and stating these things.
Okay, Chris, I understand that. I understand everything you just said. Now,
praise God.
Let's try to answer and respond to what you just said.
Again, you can. I'm not doing anything. There's no let's.
Let me explain
my
concern. Okay? I will try to explain it simply and calmly and fairly directly. Okay? If you let me explain it, then we can go on. If not, then there's no point to the conversation. So let me explain. There is a history of paying for lawyers, and then once I pay them, they won't discuss how to defend the case with me because I'm not their client.
Well, that's not an issue, because Chris and I have done that.
Jesse,
and you could have done that at any point throughout any of these cases.
Jesse...
Go
and
ahead,
I'm sure you knew that.
I think we've established that already. With the client's permission, that the lawyers will talk to people.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Go on.
For these past couple, there was no client permission. I didn't even know who the lawyer was, much less have any opportunity to talk with somebody.
Right.
So I have to look at the next lawyer and assume it will go like the last two. It's the only data points I have.
I tried to get a hold of you for a long time now. You have been dodging me, refusing to speak. For every reason.
Here's what I'll say about...
For all these reasons.
Just let me address that, because, I don't think necessarily this lawyer will be like the other lawyer, because, again, I had a lot of contact with the attorney de Blasio, and I believe that it's pretty self-evident what happened with that attorney, and my communication with him was very disturbing because, and this is why we had the problems of questions of jurisdiction or what's going on, because this guy was saying hey, I'm not going to make these kind of arguments. What we're going to do is we're going to make a deal and you're going to like it, and I'm not even going to do that unless you pay me a lot more money. I'm not going to even defend the DUI. All the time, this guy had the evidence that she had a gigantic knot on her head and was not only not doing anything about that, was hiding that from her.
So, Chris, hold on.
Yes.
I'm agreeing with everything you just said, okay?
Right.
So let me build on that.
Sure.
So that's part of my concern, is that, and Jesse, don't take this as blame. I'm not blaming anybody. This is a basic statement of fact, that it turned out you and de Blasio had different ideas about what to do. I'm not making any statement about who was right and wrong. That's not it.
That's certainly true. Okay, that's certainly true.
So that has happened several times.
Right, but here's the thing that let me just, because I think that this needs to have the finest point put on it. The point I was making at the very beginning of the conversation is that these are textbook elementary dismissal cases for any DUI lawyer worth their salt, with what these guys are hiding. So it's not any sort of disagreement. It's hiding information that is exculpatory and that is against the law. It's against even their own rules.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
It's happening multiple times. Right. So then that's why we have to find an attorney to say, hey, look, this strange thing has been going on. But the bottom line is we need to present this evidence and we need to put an end to this and put our foot down. And I'm certain that you have more of ability to do that than the average person, if for nothing more other than you have money to pay attorneys.
Chris, let me continue answering, because we're going somewhat in parallel here, but let me finish the rest of the story.
Okay.
That is exactly the reason that I am saying it is critical for Jesse, or Jesse and you, that's up to Jesse, to talk to the lawyer and say, here is what I...
That's why I'm saying the opposite.
Yeah.
I've got you on that. I'm saying the opposite of that, because that's already been done.
Yeah.
They will readily admit that it is extortion and it's fraud and it's criminal and everything like that. Yeah. And they think it's funny. And they will say that with their own words without me. So,
and I've talked to attorneys and they're like, you're being real.
You know firsthand about that kind of activity. So what I'm saying is you would be much better. So you know definitely that Jessica and I would not be talking to you for any other reason other than, God willing, when we round all of y'all treasonous bastards up and put you on trial. But otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you about this.
Right. I'm being told...
obviously the opposite of the point.
Yeah, I'm being told by attorneys that I'm being railroaded, and they're also saying that they're sorry. That they genuinely are very sorry for the position that I'm in. So somebody who is in a...
Are they saying they won't do anything?
Yes. Isn't that correct?
Yes,
I don't
they're
know.
saying they're
Right.
sorry, I can't help. I'm sorry, I can't help.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Some are. Well, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there's some.
That's some are saying that,
And
and
that's-
others are saying, "Hey, we are not even getting to the point of discussing money yet." You know how lawyers work. I don't know if you know, but I know well enough how lawyers work and how they jerk people around. I'm well aware when somebody's jerking me around.
I mean,
So,
if
Right.
so
if I
let's take this
I'm
little
not-
bit of information that you just mentioned that I didn't have. That
What's the new bit of information?
I'm sorry?
What's the new bit of information
The
that
new bit of
some lawyers
information-
are saying, "I'm sorry that we can't help you"?
Yes.
they're
Okay, so
saying,
you-
well, the reason he said he can't help me is because I'm being railroaded. That was his reason.
Okay.
Right.
Whatever the reason they're giving,
I'm
Why
being
do you
railroaded by government
why-
officials.
why do you think I would have any other response from them?
Because you
The
don't
other
get
question is, why
railroaded.
wouldn't you try?
Yeah, and you don't get railroaded yourself. You get away with
Yeah,
crime.
you don't get railroaded.
You get away with
your
crime.
life is not railroaded.
Right. You get
You
away
get- you
with
gotta-
crime, so why would you
Right.
not make these calls when you're getting away
Right,
with
yeah.
plenty of crime?
Whether you're getting away with crimes or not, yeah. I
No,
definitely
it's true, he
know
is.
that you are, obviously, right. I know. Listen to what I'm saying, but why wouldn't you try? If you're saying that you're trying to help, I mean, I did it. I've tried. It doesn't work. I've got them to admit that they're extorting her. Well, that's obvious, but they admit it. So that should make it even easier. When these guys are saying, "Yeah, we're doing extortion against Jessica Collins," that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
De Blasio.
I would be willing to call some people
Yeah, good.
so long as you understand I have no additional influence over these
Right. Well, why don't we make
I-
these calls? Can we?
I
Who the heck is saying
am
that?
trying to finish a
Who is saying
statement.
that? I'm asking if we can make these calls together so that everybody's aware of what was said and what was spoken, so that we know that these things were stated in this way. So
Yeah,
that
that's always good.
yeah, we're all
Yeah.
aware that you may be correct, that you don't have any more influence or not, but you have made the
Right.
case known to whichever
Right.
lawyer we call.
Right.
Okay, so Jesse, again, you may stay. Let me respond. I want to stay on the topic.
This
Okay.
is the topic. We've been going
Yes.
off topic.
Yes, and I want to follow on to what you just said. I want to stay on the topic. If we can find the right time to do it, and I will explain that issue I have, but if we can find the right time to do that, I would be willing to get on the phone with you,
Okay.
okay? But here's some of the things I think would have to be done on the phone call. You would have to explain what's happened, because I only know bits and pieces of it.
Well, I would prefer if Chris is on the phone as well,
That's fine.
because
That's up to you.
yeah, this is a known
I
fact.
don't-
I get
I don't
taken
have any
advantage
problem.
of, and Chris has a better way of relating to or communicating with men than I do.
I've already said I have no problem with that.
Okay, and maybe one of the
But-
people we call is Sam Perkins and ask him if he can help in any way, because he's been involved in this and he is an attorney.
Okay, before we get to the specific names, let me finish what I was saying. I think one is you and or Chris would have to explain what happened.
Okay.
In Maryland with the trial.
Okay, I mean,
That's
this is just like
number
a given.
number-
Like, I don't get what you're bringing it up for.
Okay,
What I'd
but
like to
it-
know is the reason that you have, such constraints on your time. Like,
Jesse,
why were
I
you
will
running
get-
around with Buffalo?
Jesse,
When you say you're
Jesse,
retired, are you retired or
Jesse,
what are you doing? On
Jesse,
vacation?
Let's talk about the lawyers. I told you I'll answer
No,
that
because
question.
you're saying that you have only certain time frames that you
Yes,
can utilize.
I will explain that if we.
What are they?
understand
Well, yeah, I'm
What are they?
curious.
And if we
of the
get,
lawyer.
can we just say, like, okay,
What's
what
the
are time
reason?
constraints?
Yeah, and what's the
Okay,
reason
no,
that you
I
had
will-
these time constraints in the past, in this recent past, when these were the same issues that have been neglected now for weeks, and you're running around with Buffalo. What's that related to? What's the Buffalo? Like, what's going on?
No, I want to talk about the
No, you said you're
Okay, Jess,
retired.
let's do this, Jess. Hey,
Then
Jess.
I will answer your question.
Cool.
Jesse.
Cool. So let's set up a time then. So
No,
like we
no,
did last
hold on.
time, but let's.
No, hold on. Because I want to make sure we agree on what these phone calls will address.
Listen, everything that you're saying is everything that we've agreed to.
We haven't
You're just restating what we asked you to do, or what Jessica wanted you to do from the beginning, or wished to. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
in that case, if I'm just restating it, then when I make these next couple points, you guys
No,
will
you're not restating
emphatically agree.
everything. Basically, okay, we emphatically agree that somebody's going to have to explain to the attorney on the phone.
Right, any
what's
three of
going
us
on.
could.
Gotcha.
What's going on, but the other big part of it,
Go.
the other very big part of it is not only what has happened,
Okay.
but what the approach going forward will be.
Right.
Okay?
Presenting
So that-
the evidence. Right.
Okay? Presenting the evidence. Here's
Right.
what you think the way forward to get this
It
thrown
could
out
be anything to remedy the situation, but I would say at least that.
Yeah.
Presenting exculpatory evidence, yes.
Right.
I would say that is
and
what we wish to have
so-
a defense lawyer
Yeah,
for.
and so maybe we
Right.
make the initial call to Sam Perkins to ask him from his perspective as an attorney.
Yeah, to get a good one.
Yes.
To get a good
And the
one.
third-
Lose.
The third thing that has to be talked about on that phone call is what will not be brought up.
All right, dude. You have to agree with Jessica about that, because I'm not going to do anything that is going to do anything.
Yeah, and I'm not a
but
dishonest
remedy this
person.
legal situation.
Yeah, I'm
So
not a
don't bring
dishonest
false
person.
accusations against me.
Yeah, and I'm not
No.
dishonest.
Listen.
And if these issues are related to me
Yeah.
being trafficked, if I was
I'm
ever,
telling you, yeah.
if that issue was
Jesse-
ever rectified, I wouldn't be
Listen,
in contact
In
with
any
you.
event, I
Jesse?
agree to that. I can't do anything else but agree to that. So,
Jesse,
okay, whatever.
Then fine. If you insist that those things be brought up, then the lawyer has to agree that yes, we will bring those up.
Those are not necessary to be brought up to have the charges dismissed. That stands on its own.
Right, that's
The
right.
issues of trafficking
Jesse-
don't have to be brought into it.
Jesse,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I said in the first place. What
Well,
I'm
then-
saying is you
exactly.
agree
Yeah,
that
well,
for this trial,
Why are you getting us
That's
to
not-
agree to things we've already, or at least
Right.
I've already agreed to?
Uh,
I
the
never
only
even brought
reason I
anything
have-
up, man, that's why I'm saying I'm talking to you, dude.
The
Like,
only-
I don't-
the
yeah.
only reason I mentioned it in the past was because of all the malfeasance that was going on. And I was stating that this is the reason for it, because this is how I am trafficked and abused by these
Jesse?
attorneys and government agents through
And
false
Jesse?
charges and setups like this.
Well, how about
I'm
we just
saying
keep to
is
these false
that should
charges
be
on
kept-
this? Right.
yes.
I mean
exactly.
setups with, paying for attorneys and then not following up on making sure the
Right.
attorney has even
Well,
done his job.
Again, that's right. That's true.
Or
but
buying me
again,
property and then people trying to
that's the
steal it and not
first
doing
step.
a thing
Right, I
about it.
gotcha. Yeah, that's
Yes.
documented, Jess. So that's right. That's the only thing that this attorney needs to be privy to at all. So,
Look,
Right, because if
okay.
it's solved, if the
and
it,
everybody on that phone call has to agree.
dude, how many times do you have to repeat yourself? I got you. You don't have to
Jesse,
freaking get
Jesse,
me to agree
not
to
Jesse.
what I've already
Chris.
agreed to.
yes, you have. I'm not sure Jesse has.
agreed to what?
That for
Sticking
the
to the
purpose,
fucking Talbot County TBI.
I'm saying that if they get the charges dismissed, there's no reason to bring up that issue. That's the only reason it was brought up in the first place, was because of all of the misconduct that they were committing
Right, exactly. That's true.
and getting
That's
away
the only
with.
reason.
And saying
Right.
that, well, we're protected by immunity. It doesn't matter how we abuse you or what lies we tell.
and the fourth and last thing that would have to be talked about on the phone call is roughly how much is this going to cost?
Right, and
Well,
I don't know.
obviously.
And
So
I don't
then
have
again,
any control over that.
You're talking to two people who don't have bank accounts with lots of money in it. So
Right.
obviously,
But one who would if I had not been trafficked.
Well,
So,
the wood
that
doesn't
what
matter.
they charge is
The
out of
point
my
is-
control.
gotcha.
It's out of your control, but if they say it's going to cost $12 million, it's, well,
I
guess
guarantee you
That's
it will not cost
ridiculous.
$12
I
million.
know,
Yeah.
I know. But the point is, you've got to have
Again,
some idea
If
of
the
the
right
ballpark,
attorney, right?
or there's no sense going on with the phone call.
No, there
Again,
is sense going on with the phone call.
there's
We need to
sense
know the
going on with any
price.
phone calls. They have to let you know a price.
Right.
And they have rules by letting you know.
And there's
Right,
still
right. So okay,
there's still property.
That's regular
There's
attorney stuff.
there's still property in my name that you bought me that you told me was worth $70,000 that you got a
No, I
contract.
didn't tell you that.
Oh, well, you got the contract twice, 2 contracts. Oh no, you got one contract and the real estate agent got the second one, but both for $70,000. So
Okay.
Yes.
according to the people
at that point in time,
you set up to buy it,
sold it for
right? Well,
$70,000.
property values don't decrease over time,
Yes,
and
they
that
do.
property
Like,
value.
if
Well,
you
that
have
property
stores,
value
they
hasn't.
sometimes go down.
That property value hasn't decreased. They've put a $300,000 house behind me in a trailer
It
park.
doesn't have that house on it.
It doesn't
Right.
matter.
But-
That's still the
But, you know,
location of the
they
property.
Yeah, I know that they got all sorts of subtle tricks to freaking devalue and gang stalk. I know
Yeah.
that the IC has those capabilities. It's
No.
pretty elementary at this point.
That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened to
What,
put.
what do you mean?
Selling the property.
Listen,
It's
in
what happened to.
October
Yeah.
is not going to get as much as selling the
Right.
property
Hey, do you
in
think the
March.
Patriot Act
All
is
I'm
treason?
saying is that if you try to, make the excuse that you don't have the money as you typically do, with every single time you've given me money,
Anyway, let's just go ahead and
that
say,
there
like,
is
okay,
other
Like,
ways of obtaining that money through money that you've
so let's
already
just go
given
ahead
me.
and say, like, yes, everything is agreed to about the call that was agreed to
So-
beforehand.
Right.
Jess, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I can already see because I've dealt with this man for 20
there's-
years,
again,
how
that-
he's
all we
going to
can do
try
is
and
all be
wiggle
on-
out of
All we
everything.
can do is all be on the phone at the same time.
Right, that's what I would
we
agree to.
We can't control what treasonous IC assets do, right, Joe? Is Patriot Act treason? 9/11 treason? Yeah. So anyway,
Trafficking,
Joe, in agreement?
yeah, I
There
mean,
are 4 points then that we agree need to be talked about on the phone. Now,
Right,
that's the phone call with the lawyer.
right.
Now,
Cool.
I'm making it blatantly clear so nobody comes back and says, well, that's not what you said. Blatantly clear.
Man, enough with the caveats. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. Caveats are needed.
well, and
No,
yeah,
they're
and
not.
I'm
They're not,
recording.
dude. Come on.
I'm recording, so
Go ahead,
nothing
then.
can be misconstrued.
Yeah,
Okay?
nothing could be misconstrued.
I am not promising at this point to pay a price that I haven't even heard yet. I
Hey,
do
no,
not have
anybody-
the
yeah,
amount
of course,
of
who
money
would do
you
that?
think I have.
Who would do that? I don't think about any amount of money you have except for what I've seen publicly posted on the internet.
Right.
Okay, so
And
that
that's
is-
not-
Money I
again.
had.
So
I mean, like,
don't have
well,
it.
fair enough.
Is
Fair
your
enough.
salary available online? Because you've given me that much money and also funding Mary, I just don't see how it's plausible.
I
In any event.
haven't given Mary anywhere near what I've given you.
How is that when
Okay.
she's in worse circumstances? I wonder.
Yes, because she hasn't run into several DUIs and hasn't run into property issues. And
Right,
hasn't
but
run
again,
into-
But she
all
had-
the DUIs. Listen,
said-
all the DUIs, at least in the past 4 or 5 years, they've all been not DUIs.
Right.
They've all
And
been.
and
the
her-
point is, they still cost the money. The question was, how?
Oh no, I know how the fraud works.
Yet
I
they
know how the
give
fraud
less
works,
money.
Joe.
and her issues
I know
were
how the fraud works.
So I answered
You
that
know about-
question.
Yeah,
Right.
I know about the Bank for International Settlements.
Well,
I
did
know how the
sh-
fraud works.
I'm just curious
I know
because
how
you
the
said
quadrillions work. I
because-
see how the
oh
hundreds
my
of
gosh.
thousands of work.
What the hell does that have to do with this conversation?
I'm
It's like I see the macro and I see the micro. It has everything to do with the conversation.
No, it doesn't. What has to do
You
with the
and I
conversation
disagree
is-
about that. Well, then
What
let's
has
disagree.
to do with the conversation is I am not promising that I can can
We
get.
should try. You
Okay,
should try. Before
all
you
I'm
start
saying,
promising
all
failure.
I'm saying is I don't believe it's your money. I've told you that for a long time. And
Then
Mary
we
may
have
not
a-
may not
then
have
we
gotten
have a
DUIs, but you told
disconnect
me that she
in
had.
this conversation.
I'm trying to
Well,
talk.
it doesn't really. Okay,
Why do you disrespect me? Does every man that I get on the phone with disrespect me and talk over me? Every single conversation that I've recorded will show that happens every single time. I'm making relevant points. You said Mary hasn't gotten DUIs, but you told me that she had a drug problem with cocaine, a cocaine
That's
drug
correct.
problem. Okay, so,
did.
and the other thing is that I have no way of verifying how much money you've given her. I know how much you lie about things, so I have no reason to believe that you haven't given her more money than me. That's all. The only reason I'm stating that is because every time you've given me money, you've said you couldn't get it. First, that's your first inclination, is I will try. And you've always come through after whatever you've pretended you had to do to get it.
Yes. And I also have written to you.
And you've denied me
today,
money
I think.
when it was
Or
more
maybe it was yesterday.
when it was more important and more critical, and given it to me for frivolous, superficial things instead.
Most of which you asked for.
Just like I asked to be trafficked according to you.
No,
Yes.
Jesse. This
Alright,
is
so,
going round in circles, going nowhere.
Well,
No, I'm
I
just
agree.
making points that you.
I
Yeah.
don't disagree with that, Jess. But yeah, I think that, I mean, is there some sort of agreement that we can finalize the plan?
Well, there's no reason to
contact
talk
an
to
attorney?
project into the future. Who knows how much they're going to ask for? All I'm saying is that I don't
of
believe
course.
Joe initially, him already putting up blockades to him being able to provide what's required. And then in addition to that there are other resources like the property that he
Okay.
purchased me that he
Right.
had a contract for $70,000 for a year or two ago. So
Which you
before
turned
he
down.
wiggles himself, yeah, because I knew it was a setup, Joe. Because I've been set up by you so many times. Like you denied me $1,300 before I realized who you were and how sick of a man you are and how twisted and manipulating you are. That you would not let me go back to be with my daughter for $1,300 sake. And had me go to DC to be trafficked instead. And left her there alone. You cannot be that unconscionable to have done that and have any type of morals in the way that you treat me. And that's apparent. That's obvious now. It should
I've
be.
got about 5 more minutes, and then I need to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I got about 3. So let's wrap it up.
So
Whatever you feel like it.
we-
Jess is in charge of this call, so yeah.
So we agree that I am not promising any amount of
Agree
money.
that we agreed of the first points, and then we agreed that it would be irrational for anybody to agree to pay $12 million to a lawyer or any price without knowing anything.
Exactly.
So yeah, we agreed to that rationality. So
Okay.
you don't need to lead with the 4,
Right.
because that was
And the problem-
secondary, and it goes without saying.
Yeah, the problem that you were trying to present was that you have limits on your time and you're running around with
Yes,
Buffalo
right.
instead.
saying,
So
When are we going to do this?
what are the priorities? Because you say you're retired, but you're running around with Buffalo and you can't handle these problems that are collapsing my life on top of itself after 4 years of abuse in the same way. The same
Right,
type
so
of
let's-
abuse.
Let's nail down a time, I guess,
Yeah.
to get this
Because
done.
I think we should call Sam Perkins. Joe, I'd like you to contact him first of all and to inform him that we'd like to have a conversation, all 4 of us, how to get this nipped in the bud and get it over with and resolved once and for all
Jesse, do
and
you
for the
think-
final time. Like,
do you
this cannot
think-
continue.
She's telling what she wishes you to do.
I'm asking a question there. Do you think he would be the lawyer to represent you?
I
get the
don't
question
believe,
that-
No, but
I
he's
have-
a high-ranking attorney who knows all the other high-ranking attorneys.
and I have
That-
inquired with him on the issue just to make him aware that I will be contacting him soon.
Okay.
about it.
And all I would say with that, you've written to him. He knows you. He has.
If he wished to, he could. And maybe you want to talk to him about his ability to do that when we speak. All I'm saying is that I think it's a good idea to talk to him first, see if he has any references. If he's willing to do it himself, he absolutely could. But maybe you could bring that up to him or inquire with him about it.
Jesse, let me suggest, he has no clue who I am, I'm assuming. Okay? I would strongly suggest that before I reach out to him, some guy he never heard of.
He may have some clue about you because he has informed me that he is well aware of what's on the internet, that what I put out on the internet about him, and I likewise put out things about you, so he is probably aware of who you are.
All I'm saying, Jesse, is you contact him to say, is it okay if I contact him?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I agree with
that.
I'll
give it some thought. I need to decide what's best, but
that's
for
true.
now.
But I think that's fairly reasonable.
Well, let me give it some thought and decide what I think is best, but it may be best for you to contact him first.
Okay, that's true too. But it's something to think about. In any event, I think either way, he'll get the point. So in any event, either way, however it has to get done, it'll get done that way. Okay? You know how that works, right? However it has to get done, it'll get done.
If that's the first person you think should be talked to, fine.
That's what Jess thinks, yeah.
I think so.
On the time. And that sounds reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I said the only suggestion I would make is he knows you. He doesn't know me, even if he's...
Right, we covered that ground. We covered that ground. However it has to be done properly, that's the way it's going to get done.
And Jesse, you think about it, and then we'll work around that.
Okay. And then, we can go from there, because I think that's just the first step to take. The most logical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Initially.
Right. I do need to go.
Yep.
It's been more than...
Me too.
All right, Jessica, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for taking the time, Joe. And, I pray that this can be resolved, as soon as possible.
Praise God.
Nobody needs this aggravation. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.